Hi, guys, and welcome to this episode of Brewing e-commerce. And I might have said in the past that this is something I was looking forward to, or this one I was really special, etc. But this episode with no one else and none of them than Adam is something which is going to blow your mind. And I'm so looking forward to hosting him and getting as much juice and learnings from him. So, Adam, welcome.
Thank you, and I hope I've fulfilled the expectations, Rutang. I mean, I've had my Weetabix this morning, so look, I'm ready to go.
Super. So, by the way, half or plus of my LinkedIn guys who are going to watch this, they absolutely need no introduction from you, right? If they're an ecom and they don't know Adam, that means they're doing something wrong. So, guys, that's a disclaimer. Figure it out. But for the other guys who are in the other countries watching, etc., Adam, I just love to kind of for you to tell people about what you do, and then I'm going to add all my spices on top.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, look, guys, I mean, I fell into ecom like a lot of us think did. I'd previously been in consulting. I then went into teaching to save the world. Didn't quite happen. And then probably about 11 years ago, my now business partner and brother-in-law happened to want to have a career change and decided to go into Shopify. And at this time, look, Shopify was very, very small. A lot of small kind of mom and pop shops in the States. And what we were doing is that we were basically coming in, doing small changes on site, and then doing things like Facebook marketing, email marketing on side of it. And off the back of that, it sort of grew and grew and grew. And we now, I guess, look, have landed very firmly in this CRO space. And what we do typically with brands is that brands that are using Shopify, Shopify Plus, they're in a situation maybe where they're doing sort of in excess of maybe 3-4 million a year, and the conversion rate has just slowed. The average order value has just basically got stuck for the past 6 to 12 months. And what they come to us for is say, well, look, guys, what is it that we can do in a very structured way that is going to help us improve? The first question we should get is, do we need to redesign a Shopify store? The answer 99% of the time is no.
Super.
And
Yeah.
what we then do is that we then work with them usually from a period of between 6 and 12 months to then get those numbers up in terms of AOV and conversion rate, leading to then better revenue, better LTV, and in effect, just people being happier in companies. I mean, look, Shwetank, I'm sure you have this a lot of the time with e-commerce directors. When you go into call them, it's usually because something isn't going the way they want it to, and it's for people like you and I to make things, put a smile on the face effectively, and that's what we're here to do.
Super. And the way you explain it, Adam, I think it's so deep rooted for all your learnings that you've had over the period, etc. And that's such a common thing that we look at Shopify. Everybody focused on just acquisition, and the conversion is kind of very different things. But I'd love to go deeper into a lot of things that you've said. Um, Let me start off by saying I have not met anybody in the whole UK ecom scene, Adam, the way you approach people, the way you talk to them, the way you're community first, right? This is exactly what brands are trying to do,
Mm.
or brands should be doing, and not just all about sell, 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 like that amazing 20% off Klaviyo pop up as soon as you kind of land. Adam, it's so hard. Uh, I want to know that why is this your approach, and it really works, I know. But how did you come about doing this?
Yeah, I mean, look, we as a company, me and Peter, when we started, we were predominantly working, as I say, with American brands, small brands, and being from a very sleepy town in Warwickshire, it was very hard to go out there and kind of meet people and talk to people that we want to talk to in the UK. And as an agency, we started to put on Shopify meetups, maybe kind of like 5 or 6 years ago. And I think what I really liked about the situation is that you understood at that moment, as you still understand now, is that people are all at very different points on their journey with e-commerce. Some people have been in it for years. Some people have just got into it. Some people enjoy it. Some people don't enjoy it. And I think with these kind of community events, you start then getting people around you who are all these different points in their different journeys. And I think we realized from that point that this is a really good environment to be in, because yes, okay, it was great when you met brands that were ready to go and they wanted to work with you, which is generally, and I think now is still a very small percentage, but it's those people that are maybe 6, 12, 2 years away from wanting to work with you who then will come back and then actually be a client. Now, I've got a great example of this. There's a guy called Ollie who works for, or who owns a company called Gutology. He came to one of our events 4 years ago. He actually didn't start working with us until about a year ago, but he remembered that
Wow.
first meeting that we'd had that while back. And I think, look, it's hard when you're in e-commerce because when you are an agency and when you are, a tech provider, you're looking to get that sale. But I
Right.
think what we learned from that is, look, you're always going to meet people who can connect you to the right people, or and
Mm,
secondly, there's going to be people that are not ready to talk to you now or have a
mm,
conversation now, but
mm.
that will be further down the line. And that's kind of what we've done with, sort of our Ecom Collab Club that you are now a big part of, is that sort of getting all those people together who need to have conversations with each other, but
Yeah.
it's those connections that then form that go on for the future. And it's one of those things people will be listening to me going, well, yeah, okay, that's great, but I need sales now. You've got to do other things on top of it. I
Yeah.
agree. But if you haven't got that community piece, you've got a
Yeah.
card that you're not playing that you 100% need to play.
No, that's amazing. That long term vision of how things need to be. I understand everybody has numbers and revenues and stuff like that. But funny enough, what you say matches with. I was speaking to an ecom founder last week, a lady, a brand owner, and I asked her one of what are your top priorities for the next year. And the first thing that lady came up and she said community building. Okay. In your experience, Adam, do you think brands have started to realize this and go about taking serious steps around community building, which helps in overall conversions eventually?
I think there's two camps. Oh, there's three camps really. There's the people like Gymshark who built a business based on community. Great, they're the poster boys for it. But not everyone has that vision, and not everyone has the resources to be able to build a community like they've done. I think you've got other people who have switched onto it. And I guess one of our previous clients, Hunter and Gather, they are a brand that has products that are mainly for people who do it with paleo diets, keto diets. They set up something very simple, which is literally a Facebook group for their customers.
Mm,
And what that has done for them is it's built out this really brilliant community of people who will vouch for the company and say what they feel about the company, which is super important. If you go to their Facebook page, it's not all positive. There are some negative things in there, but the
mm,
company then use that to listen. I think that's again a small group. There's a bigger group out there who want to do it, but I think the problem is that they approach it in a way that is too commercial from the outset, and they kind of want to rush through the process.
mm,
So I think I've seen it a number of times with brands where they've, for example, wanted to do ambassador programs. And look, don't get me wrong, I think ambassador programs are great, but what they do is they go out there and they look at the customers that are basically buying the most from them, and they say, look, if you come into our ambassador program, we'll give you 20%, kickback of the product that you then sell. I think the issue with doing that is that if you are doing that from a commercial perspective from day one, that tends to go away very, very quickly. Because the problem in that situation is you are trying to build something which is not transactional. You're trying to build a relationship that then grows to
yes.
then promote your business. But if you're doing from the outset from number one, that I think is the main problem. I think that is why a lot of people, when they say community building, they tend to go to that model first. I'm saying,
Mm,
look, let's go out there and find brilliant customers, give them a referral code, and then get a
yes.
kickback.
Yeah.
That doesn't work. That needs to be two, three steps down the
True.
line. It
Yeah.
needs to be getting about them, talking about their experiences,
Mm,
going out with the film crew and filming them, getting the customer reviews, doing a case study with them. All of these bits of resources that are there, that when you use on your social media and also on site, don't really have a commercial value in the sense of, look, watch this video, click this link, get discounts. Look at what these people have said about me. That's the way you're going to do it. And it takes time and it takes effort and it costs because it's the time of your team of incentivizing people to do these things. And I think again, you need to kind of slow down a little bit and kind of say, look, this is something we're going to build over a period of time, rather than day one, right? We send out a load of referral codes, and
yeah.
next day we have a ton of sales coming through. It just you can't work it like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. But I don't know if you'll agree with me. Most of them still don't get it right. Most of
No,
them are far away from it.
no, I agree, and I think it's difficult because if you're not that way inclined, look, some brands are built around a community first, and then they bolt the products onto it afterwards. Once they've then got that following, I think if you're reverse engineering it, there is a very it's very difficult to say, look, ultimately, I know as a brand, I'm going to pay my suppliers, I'm going to pay my team, and this is just another marketing channel we're going to use, then drive through revenue.
Hmm.
Very difficult if it isn't something that you need in terms of sales right now to not communicate that in kind of the
Well,
community building.
yeah,
You almost need someone external or someone that hasn't kind of got the dollar signs tattooed in the back of their eyelids and saying, look, we're going to run this
yeah,
community to build that group, build the advocacy in the market, and then monetize it. And I think you've got to be very,
yeah,
very strict with yourself when you're doing it if you're going to go down that route of trying to build a community out.
yeah, yeah. No, 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 makes sense. Um, Now this is a loaded one, Adam. Right? This is the question. I've been waiting to ask you because you're the perfect guy who can answer this, right? Let me start with this monologue, and then it's over to you. So imagine I'm a DTC brand, right? And out of 10 founders, all of them understand ROAS, but less than 3 or 4 understand conversion rate, right? The focus of the teams 100% on performance every day, conversion rate 20 to 30% kind of a thing. Uh, and when you speak to them about conversion rate, which is a variable and which is like, 1,000 things going in harmony with traffic, this is whatever, the expectation of brands is, oh, if you improve my conversion rate last month, then you better increase it again this month. And it's like an incremental thing, right? Which is not possible.
Nope.
How do you deal with this? How can you go and explain this to brands? Because that's one of the biggest pain points in the industry for us. And what's your insight around that, Adam?
Yeah, and look, I think it's a fair point, and I think the difficult we've got in an environment where, particularly in e-commerce, we've had up until about 2-3 years ago a period when, look, Facebook ads are very cheap. You throw some cash in, you get 4, 5, 6, 7, sometimes 20 times what you put in.
Yeah,
The world isn't like that anymore, and if
yeah,
anyone still thinks that it isn't. Okay, because you and I know we talk to these brands day in day out. They're getting ROAS of like between 1.5 and 2.5 if they're lucky right now. So that mentality is very much on a week to week, month to month basis, and we're looking at those numbers going up.
mm,
When we talk to brands, what we say to them is, look, from the perspective of your conversion rate and the overall financial health of the business, you need to be evaluating this usually in periods of 6 months or ideally 12 months. And a lot of the time, brands will turn around and go, well, that's too long for us to wait.
yeah,
My suggestion right back would be is, okay, if that's too long to wait, what are you going to do as an alternative? If you keep throwing that cash into your ads and still that conversion rate AOV is not going up, you're then wasting more money than you would
yeah,
and more time than
yeah,
if you looked at it incrementally. So when we generally work with a brand, what we'll do is we'll put together what we call our PECT. And what this is basically a prioritized list of actions they need to perform
mm,
to improve those core metrics. So if it's conversion AOV, it will all be weighted towards them. We will say to them, we have now this working PECT, which can move depending on priorities.
mm,
We evaluate that after a 3-month period and we evaluate after a 6-month period.
mm,
Don't get me wrong, Shwetank, look, it's hard to do because each month you're absolutely right. Well, last month it went up and now it's gone down.
yeah,
Okay, guys, but let's look at the different factors. Your product supply, the
yeah,
economic situation, competitor products have been launched, the
yeah,
weather, and I think that's the problem is, and that's why I think it's so hard for agencies to make guarantees to people. Can you guarantee you're going to increase conversion rate by 78% in 6 months? Nope,
no, yeah, no,
absolutely.
yeah,
That's the average that we get for clients who work with us for 6 months.
yeah,
Yours might be higher, yours might be lower. But what we
absolutely,
need to do is we need to implement things that are low hanging fruit short term to see if we can get that boost and then focus on bigger picture items. We can give that longer term boost. But don't get me wrong, it's not an easy thing to do. And I think especially for brands that have been very reliant on paid acquisition, to get them to switch out of that mindset. But what I think we're getting to now is many brands are realizing that process of, look, put 20 grand in and then get 100 grand back out in a month. It doesn't exist anymore.
And with the heydays that everybody had around COVID and things like that, do you think now it's changing a bit, Adam? Guys and brands are like understanding a little bit more that it's very much dependent on the traffic that I'm getting at Meta, but that traffic is changing every single day.
I think it is, and I think ultimately as well, what you're seeing now is that you are previously, if I look back maybe 6 or 7 years ago, there was no such thing as a head of customer retention within a brand.
Okay.
There was, no such thing of splitting budget between retention and acquisition. That firmly for me has definitely changed, because I think with that appreciation that you also need to look at those existing customers, and they're the ones that are actually going to improve that overall LTV. I think that is becoming more apparent. The difficulty, though, I think still is that when you have paid acquisition teams within brands, and then you have a retention team who are going to be newer, who are going to be, a newer addition than the paid acquisition, there's always that kind of balance of power. And we've had many calls where we've had a kind of head of commercial on, we've had head of acquisition, head of retention, because the head of acquisition can say, well, look, we've been doing this for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, and we've shown that we can do this thing. They sometimes can sway that conversation.
Yes.
Which is where we kind of then, what tends to happen is that if I'm on a call with retention, me and that person are fighting the retention corner and going towards CRO, and it's like, well, no, we'll put the cash into paid acquisition. So I think as, again, give it another couple of years, I think that balance of power will shift. I think it has shifted in some companies, but certainly not all of them.
Okay, that's perfect. I know that you work majorly with the US clients, but you also have experience, of course, with the UK guys, etc. Given US is very unbalanced, US large Shopify base, UK is like talking about 2 million, 150K, etc. Is there some very fundamental difference between US customers and UK customers?
100%. So I'll give you an example. Look, I as a Brit can say this, okay, because I'm British. We have a problem in the UK with asking how much things are first. That is the first thing we'll ask. If you're buying a fence, if you're buying a lawnmower, if you're buying a car, if you're buying a website, how much is the damn thing that you're going to sell me?
Sure.
And the thing I would say is that with the US market is that the mentality there is different. It's, this thing is broken. This thing isn't working. We've tried this thing. Number one, can you help us? British brands are more on the case of, look, we're looking to improve our site. Improve what? What do we want to improve? And we want to know how much it's going to be first. And the issue with that is that from an agency point of view, we have to spend a lot of time trying to pull out the things that are actually the problem. And I think it's a cultural thing, because I think, in the States, people, I think, are a bit more open with their feelings and are prepared to kind of show their cards in terms of, look, we've tried this thing, it didn't work. Or, we've been with this agency, it didn't work. British brands are hesitant to do that because you always feel like there's that kind of stiff upper lip kind of mentality. You've got to pretend that you're brilliant at everything all the time. And my advice always to anyone dealing with agency is go in and treat it like a therapy session. Lay your cards on the table, tell them what's happened, tell them what number you need to get to. Because if you don't tell them that, an agency is going to put a pretty crap proposal together for you. Ultimately, for me, what I want a brand to come in and say is, look, Adam, we have been set a target of getting our revenue from 3 million to 4 million by December 2024. And as part of that, we need our AOV to be £55 rather than £35. Perfect. Because everything that we then are looking at is going to be to that sole problem. Opposed to, hey, Adam, we need to improve the performance of our website. What the hell does that mean? What do you want to get to? Where do you want to be? I can't then go and direct my team to look at certain things that are going to move the needle on different options. And that's when bad relationships typically happen between brands and agencies, because there isn't an agreed perception of what the actual problem is. And
Yeah.
it takes 3 to 6 months for the agency to pull that out of a brand, by which point the brand's going, well, look, we've paid you 5 grand, 10 grand, 15, 20 grand a month. We're not seeing the results. Yeah, but we've only now at this moment been able to work out what you need. So I think for me, that is the difference between the two. American brands are much more happy to go, look, this is the problem. This is what I tried. British brands, not so much. Some
Yeah.
are getting better. A
Okay.
lot of them still, it's a transactional thing. It's the website, guys.
Yeah.
And, you're never going to get a good relationship, and you're never going to get good results with that kind of mentality from day one.
Yeah, I love the first approach where you lay down the cards and it's all number driven, because if you want to improve, you have to do first measure and only then you can improve. Otherwise, you can't. And
Absolutely.
yeah, I understand a little bit where you're coming from as well. It's always that uh, you know th- they're far more risk averse in that way. Okay, I'll see how it's going and I'll
Yeah.
figure it out and stuff like that. I think. They need to understand that this is not optional anymore. This is mandatory, and they're spending money already. They're burning. So can we optimize it by 0.00001%? And you'll start seeing value from that perspective, right?
Yeah.
So Adam, you've done this for hundreds and hundreds of Shopify brands, and from a brand who's at maybe their 0 to 1 or 1 to 100th kind of journey. Uh, I would love to hear this from you, the top 5 CRO mistakes that they kind of do, which they can avoid absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the first mistake that people tend to make, number one, is that when it comes to their product page, they don't spend a lot of time and care attention on the product page. And what I would say with that is that I see many sites where they have a fantastic about us page, they have guarantees on their homepage, they have pop-ups on their homepage with different offers on. Ultimately, a lot of the time, people try and compartmentalize those things into different places. I think the problem now is that you need to be in a situation where, as a brand, you are using that product page as your shop front. So all of those trust indicators, all of those guarantees, the UGC, the product reviews, the videos, all of that needs to be on there. And one thing that I see a lot of, particularly newer brands, is they've gone in hard on TikTok. They've got a lot of people doing product reviews on TikTok. They've got great videography on TikTok. Look at their product page, one photo. Why? Get that video content on
Yeah.
your product page, showing that brilliant piece of content that you've had thousands of likes for on your social media platform on there, turn it into a shoppable video. There are plenty of solutions out there that can help you do that. So I would say, number one, that is something that you should be looking at from a CRO point of view. I think the second thing I would say when it comes to CRO mistakes is that people do not pay enough attention to the interplay between their email marketing and their website. And I think the best example I can give of this is welcome flows. You see all this stuff on LinkedIn at welcome flows, blah, blah, you need it. But what I would say is that the days are gone whereby if you put 10% discount off to sign up, people are going to sign up for it. People now need something that they're going to get more value than just that 10% discount off. Now,
Yeah.
whether that is going to be a downloadable guide, whether that is going to be a quiz that you take then to then get that first email back, you've got two things here. One is you need to show that customer value, which a lot of the time brands don't do that 10% off. And secondly, you need that data to be able to market to them better than just going out and saying, hi, Adam, here's a bunch of stuff that we sell, want to buy something. You need to go out there and you get some information and say, look, yes, I do like the color red. I am a size extra large. I do like Nike. I do like Reebok. And then the welcome flow that comes out to me is stuff full of information and resources and blogs and products that are related to that. So double down on that welcome flow. And I think the other one that is generally not well looked after is the post-purchase flow. Again, if that person is buying from you for the first time, give them the best damn experience that you possibly have. Tell them when the product's being packed. Tell them when it's put out for delivery. Tell them when they can expect it. When they get it on their first day, make sure you send an email to say, how does it fit? How does it taste? Hone in on those problems that might happen in that first instance. that is something I would definitely say is something that you need to look at. So that's the second one. The third one is upsells and cross sells. Now, I think, from my point of view, this is something, again, is handled very, very poorly from the vast majority of brands that are starting out. You've got to remember that, when you've got a customer on that product page, number one, they might not necessarily be absolutely 100% in love with that product.
Yeah.
You have an expectation when you're on that product that is a product they're going to buy.
Mm.
You need to make sure that there are exit routes for them. And what I mean by exit routes is that, number one, can they save some money by buying more than one of that product with obviously then a cross sell? Are they looking for something they have bigger budget for, which allows them to then upsell? And then thirdly as well, are they also still trying to work out from you whether this product they want, and are they looking for other options that are available? So customers have also bought, customers that also view this product went on to buy X, Y, Z. So using the upsell, cross-sell features on your product page, use those. If you haven't got a wide range of products, just make sure that you have an ability to have at least one upsell or cross-sell, because again, that's going to stop you then getting people exiting from the site if that isn't what you're looking for. So that's the third one I recommend. The fourth one that I would say is probably a big one that a lot of newer brands tend to make, tends to really be around the kind of, I guess, the story of the product, and that matching with your social profiles and also with your on-site experience. Now, I see this a lot, particularly with food brands, particularly with newer beauty brands. They tend to curate their social media very, very well. And what I mean by that is that they show the product, they show people using it, they show people talking about it. They're doing on-street interviews with people where they're shoving the product to someone's face and they're tasting it. This tastes amazing. You go to the website, none of that information is there. There is none of that, very well executed, well polished information. And a lot of the time with these brands, what you'll see is things like, for example, on the product page, they will have a block of text with all the different information about the product in there. Use accordions, segment that information within there, put images and video in each side of those accordions. Give them that experience, because there is absolutely nothing worse when you fall in love with a brand and you go to the site and you see that it is not as polished, that actually it then puts you off buying that product. So don't overspend or over egg your social media and then have a website that is absolutely terrible to then work with. And I think the last thing I would say is, when it comes to tip number 5, is that a lot of brands are not doing enough with search. Now, search for me has been one of those things over the years that I used to think, search, whatever, you stick a out of the box search bar on there, people find the product. My goodness, the amount of brands now that are seeing sales coming through directly from an advanced search feature is mind-blowing. And what I mean by this is that, number one, making sure your products are tagged correctly. Tagging is usually where the issue becomes, because if you're not tagging correctly, you're not going to be able to get that search. Equally as well, there are a lot of now tools out there that will give recommendations based on that search term that is also included. You've got tools that will remember previous searches that are similar to that person's profile coming in. Ultimately, again, your job as a D2C brand owner is a signposter. You are there to direct people to the product that is going to be best fit for them. And it really does surprise me, even with very, very big brands. If I start typing in red and I'm then seeing, straight away, just a whole bunch of red different products from lots of different, categories, with not even an option to filter by category,
Insane.
That customer's gone. You've lost them. So 5 things from me there. I think, look, if you looked at those, you would definitely start seeing some uptick in terms of what you're doing.
Oh, excellent, Aaron. Thank you. I think those are really good points. And what I even, going further liked about it, that you actually went about explaining why they make sense, or why they should look at it, because this is the angle each one of them bring in, right? So overall, every single second that you can make the visitor stay longer, show them something else. Your website is a real estate at the end of it. And all you have to do is try and get one more conversion at a time. And then eventually that number goes up, right? So that's fantastic. Thank you for that. My next question around this, Adam, is a few weeks back, I read that Google's doing a U-turn on the third-party cookie. Okay. And like us and many other providers, we were always very zero party, first party data. You own the data. Do you think it's going to have a larger impact on the industry, because there was some kind of a dilemma for brands in the past year, saying no, we need to move to zero party and first party kind of data solutions.
Yeah, I mean, I think the issue that is going to become, I think, initially is going to be the fact that a lot of D2C brands who have been using tools that have previously had third-party cookies,
Yeah,
and I think that's going to be the first kind of combustion that we'll see, is that there are things that have been used before that maybe we didn't even know
yeah,
were using that feature to be able to then market. So I think it's discovering what those issues are first of all is going to be the first problem.
mm,
I think the benefit that we've got though here is that, look, this is something that is going to impact on everybody.
yeah,
And I think at least we're not in a situation like we were with GDPR, where it was only a UK based issue,
yeah,
whereas, American brands who weren't could then obviously use different things. So I think, in that kind of concept, particularly if you're a brand that is competing with American brands, you're not in the same situation we were before. I think what it does do, though, is that it forces people hands on making sure that they do get their zero and first party data strategy together.
mm,
And whether that is, like the things that I mentioned earlier about quizzes, even down to the basics of, asking an extra question in your sign
yeah,
up form to your email, you've got to start doing those things now, because ultimately that is going to be the expectation. Because if the market around you are already doing that and they're using that information to give back to the customer to show that, yes, we do know about you, we do care about you, we do understand what you're looking for, and you're still not benefiting from those and taking advantage of them, you are going to look, realistically, like an amateur. Because if I'm a shoe brand that is not collecting that kind of information, and I'm just sending out, generic, look, here are 4 types of shoe that we sell.
yeah,
My competitor who has done a quiz to find out what style, what size, what they use them for, is then sending them 3 fantastic options for them.
mm,
I mean, look, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to work out who's going to win or lose. So I think it's just a wake up call, and it doesn't need to be. I think, like I say here again, even though I'm an agency, it's not something that you necessarily need to spend thousands and thousands
yeah,
on.
yeah,
It
absolutely.
could literally be a day to
Yeah,
get your strategy together about how you're going to do that.
yeah. And I know you guys, use some nice tools, automated. It can be done nicely via Klaviyo and stuff like that, because I've spent some time with your teams and they do it very nicely. So it's there in the strategy, it's in the communication, and then you're making the most of data, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Um, I have to, I would not let you go asking you this question, because when you talk to brands and then you work with the entire strategy and the execution bit, right? There's a lot of new tech coming out, right? Funny enough, you mentioned about the US and GDPR and stuff, right? So like retention.com, which is doing amazingly well in the US, not in this region. When you also talk about the intent side of things, like Clay, when you look at, how you reach out to people in some way, and also those tech. Um, do you think this is we just on the tip of this AI iceberg here? And what's your outlook for this in the e-com sector in the next couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, with AI, it's kind of a bit of a long-standing joke, isn't it? Everyone just puts AI on the end of their
Yeah,
product to then make it sound like it's something new. Um, My opinion, though, I think is actually now is a really good time to be looking at tools that do use AI, because from my perspective, there are a lot of people out there who have a really solid use case for using it and
hmm,
can communicate that very well. There are others out there who are adding AI to a product, but there doesn't really seem to be any perceived value with it.
hmm,
So I actually think what's going to happen is that we're going to have probably another year or so of everyone kind of bolting AI on.
hmm,
People are actually going to be a diverse. There's going to be a split road in the market.
right,
People are going to realize the value of tools that do have AI and what they can do, and for the actual outcome for the end of it. And
hmm,
others will see, well, look, there is completely. You've basically just put Chat GPT
yeah,
into this tool.
yeah, yeah, okay,
There's very little value in it, and I think what from a marketing point of view, and I think when we talk to clients about tools that are using AI, what we have to try and understand is the thing that they are using to use AI to do does that then actually directly go back to that problem you have, which is you need to get to $4 million by the end of the year? And it's just having that mental clarity, because zooming in and going, oh, great, brand new tool, fantastic,
Yeah.
great. But people have been there, they've been burnt in the past. They've got 25, 35 different apps on site, of which 10 have been used.
Yeah.
And, look, these tools they're going to get more expensive because, in a situation where more, research, more build time needs to go into them,
Yeah.
you don't want to be paying this cash to have tools that you're not going to utilize. So again, first principles, does it help me solve the problem that I need to solve? If yes, use it, try it. If no, then politely decline.
Move on. No, perfect. Comes with your clarity of thoughts, Adam, as always. I'm loving this. I think it's going very well. But just in the interest of time, I have two more things for you. Now, the first one is for everybody watching, you have to share something with us that you've never told anybody. It can be a cheeky story, some incident or something like that, which we can all have, laugh about, but something which is not known to a lot of people.
I've got something perfect, and I think it's kind of on that line of new technology. Now, prior to me getting into e-commerce, I actually used to work for a educational software app, and at the time, this is going back sort of 15 years ago, video conferencing was still something that you went to a video conferencing room for, and you dressed very nicely, blah blah.
Yeah.
And the company that I'm working for were trying to be a bit progressive, and they decided to offer Skype calls. So I had a call booked in with my manager and the dean of a very prestigious UK university. Now, at the time, it was a very hot day in the summer. I was basically sat in my home office with a vest on, not really expecting to be on video per se, thought it was going to be a voice call. And my manager had gone one step further and was sat there with his shirt completely off. So we joined this call and clicked on the button, expecting it to be just voice because we hadn't assumed video was going to be on. And the vice chancellor of this very prestigious university was there in her power suit with her pearls, hair done, makeup done.
Oh my God.
And I was there in a vest, and my boss was there in his birthday. So, I think probably just a word of warning there with new technology. Make sure you try it out before you go full pelt. So, that was an interesting one, shall we say?
You're putting it so nicely there, and so I can understand that. Yeah, and last thing, Adam, I have to say this. I've never done this on my past podcast, so you're the first one I'm trying to do it. Is I want to share something with everyone. When I was in a little vulnerable state and was not very was not very confident of different things, and when I walked up to you. So, guys, funny thing is, like a few months back, I met Adam for one of the events that he had organized. And, after some time, I just go up to Adam and I'm like, Adam, what's wrong with me? And, why are things not going okay? And suddenly Adam leaves everything and makes me sit down and like, don't worry, mate, let's chat. And then we had a very good conversation for long. I just wanted to acknowledge that, Adam, in front of everybody and say thank you for that. You don't know sometimes the kind of impact that you have on people and in their journeys, but that chat that day was really good, and so I continue to bother you ever since.
Thank you, mate. That's really kind to say. But I mean, look, mate, it's the same thing. I think everyone in e-commerce, isn't it? We are all still relatively new to this. This is a new industry. And, what I've seen, particularly in the UK, and I think also in the US, that people are there to help one another. We're in a growing, expanded industry, and it's much better to improve the industry as a whole than to be very protective and like, this is mine and that like that. It's, and that's what I love about it. And, that's what I love, getting to meet people like you and doing things like this. So thank you.
Yeah. And again, right from founding the Ecom Club with, again, very good bloke, Peter, and the way you guys are built is you'll be surprised how people call me out of India and the US and stuff like that, saying, you know what, hey, is this Ecom Club really worth going? And should we really plan our trips and dates according to? And I'm like,
Fantastic.
guys, if you're not doing it, you're missing out. So thank you so much, Adam, for everything that you mentioned. I think with the Black Friday, BFSIM, and all these things coming, the CRO pointers and the community focus, and especially being available and doing fantastic work with brands, we all really appreciate that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this, Tank.
Great. So looking forward to having you again sometime, Adam. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Cheers.